morning, friends. My name is M.S. Somashekar from Nilamika Girls High School, Serigare. Today I am going to teach you a lesson from the 10th standard, third lesson, that is Gentlemen of Rio in Medio. So, Gentlemen of Rio in Medio is the third unit which comes under the theme Nativity. It is a beautiful story written by John A. Sedino, a famous writer of English. John A. Sedino is one of the most famous writers in English. He has written this present lesson, Gentlemen of Rio in Medio. Gentlemen of Rio in Medio. He was from America, who wrote his experience from his nativity. What is Rio in Medio? Yes, Rio in Medio is a name of a place. It is the name of a place in New Mexico, USA. There was an incident held in that particular place that was drawn and written by our author John A. Sedino. How the people are very much interested towards their native places. Here is one such an example. It took months of negotiation to come to an understanding with the old man. He was in no hurry. What he had the most of time was time. He lived up in Rio in Medio, where his people had been for hundreds of years. He tilled the same land they had tilled. His house was small and wretched, but quaint. A little creek ran through his land. The orchard was narrow and beautiful. Stop here. In the first stanza, the author gives an introduction, brief introduction about the Rio in Medio. So, as I already told you, Rio in Medio is a place in New Mexico of USA. He wanted to speak. The author is a lawyer. Is a lawyer. He says it took months of negotiation to come to an understanding with the old man. Okay? So the author is speaking about some person who was an old man. We don't know who was the old man. In the next we come to know that who was that old man. So it took months together for the negotiation. What is negotiation? Negotiation means official discussion. They come to an understanding. They want to speak, make conversation, and come to an understanding called negotiation. They wanted to make a negotiation for the sale of the land of the old man. For that negotiation, how much time it has taken? A month of negotiation, months of time for the negotiation. Why? The question is like that. Why it took months of time for the negotiation? Because he was in no hurry. The old man was no hurry. He had no urgent. He had a lot of time. That's why it took months of time for the negotiation. What he had the most of was time. He had a lot of time. The old man was not a busy person. He had a lot of time. That's why it took months of time for negotiation or come to an understanding with the author. He lived up in Rio in Medio. The old man, lived up in the Rio in Medio. As I told, Rio in Medio is the name of the place. Up in the Rio in Medio, that person lived. The old man lived up in the Rio in Medio, where his people had been for hundreds of years. So he lived in the same place where his ancestors also lived. It shows that the line itself shows that it was not a new town for him, it is not a new village for him. The same village, his father, his grandfather, some previous ancestors were lived in the same place. He lived where his ancestors lived. He had been for hundreds of years. He tilled the same land they had tilled. He made agriculture. The same land they had made an agriculture. Means the land he had received, the land he had making farming is an ancestral property because the line shows he tilled the same land they had tilled. He has plowed the same land which was farmed by his grandparents or ancestors. His house was small. How was his house? He had a house which was very small. The old man was living in a up in the real Medio. He tilled the same land they had tilled. He lived in the place where hundreds of years his family members lived. And there he has a house. He had a house. The house was very small and wretched. Wretched means unpleasant, not beautiful. It is the wretched. It's an old house. It's an old kind of house. Wretched. Old and wretched. But quaint. Quaint means so it is an attractive in an unusual manner. Not usual. Unusual manner it is an attractive. But it's an old fashioned. It is a beautiful. But for present time, it was an old fashioned house. A small house. The little creek ran through his land. So there is a little creek means river. Small stream or a river. If there was a small stream or a river was flowing through his land. Through his land. His orchard was narrow and beautiful. He has an orchard. What is an orchard? Orchard means fruit bearing trees. Is there a kind of land or a farm which is having it? Fruit bearing trees. You can say Hanina Tota. So this is about the land. This is the property. Whose property? The property belongs to the old man. Where was the old man living? He was lived in the rear Medio. It was not a new place. It was the place where his ancestors lived. What property he had? He had a piece of land. He was farming the same land which was farmed by his ancestors. And also there was a small house in it. The farm had a small house which was very small and wretched. But quaint. It means is a pleasant in unusual manner. And a little creek ran through the land. Little creek means a small stream or a small river ran through his land. And his orchard was narrow and beautiful. Narrow. What do you mean by narrow? So, with the twisted hard limbs, there's a lot of fruits bearing trees over there. It was very narrow and beautiful. Totally, his land was ancestral property, which was having a fruit bearing trees, which in which there was a small and beautiful house. A little stream was flowing through it. So, it is a very beautiful and attractive land. The day of the sale, he came to the office. His coat was old, green, and faded. I thought of Senator Kaplan, who has been such power with these people up there in the mountains. Perhaps it was one of his old Prince Albert's. He wore gloves. They were old and torn, and his fingertips showed through them. He carried a cane, but it was only the skeleton of worn-out umbrella. Behind him walked one of his innumerable kings, a dark young man with eyes like a gazelle. The old man bowed to all of us in the room. Then he removed his hat, gloves, slowly and carefully. Chaplin once did in a picture. In a bank, he was the janitor. Then he handed his things to the boy who stood obediently behind the old man's chair. Stop here. The next stanza, next paragraph. The author says, it took months of negotiation to come to an understanding because the old man was not hurried at a lot of time. So, and also we learned that he had a piece of land in which there are fruit bearing trees trees are there, a small stream is there, a small house is there, but it was in the old fashion, it was very beautiful. The day of the sale, he came to the office. The day of the sale, one day he wanted to make the sell the land. The day of the sale, he came to the office of the John A. Senilor. Already told he was a lawyer. He was a lawyer and a mediator to sell the land. How did he came to the office? On the day of the sale he came. How did he come to the office? His coat was old, green and faded. How was his coat? The old man's coat was old, green and faded. Faded. It was an old coat. He wore an old coat. It was green and faded. The color of the coat was green and it was faded. It was dusty. The cloth was dusty. His coat was very dusty. It was an old coat. It was faded coat. He wore the same. I thought of a senator cartoon. So when the author saw the old man in a old coat, he thought of a senator cartoon. Who was senator cartoon? Who has been such a power with these people up in the mountain. So up in the mountain, the real Medio, that man was a power, had a power. Such a power, was such a power, Senator Cartoon. Perhaps it was one of his old Prince Alberts. So perhaps it was one of his old Prince Alberts. He imagines the style of the old man who came to the office. So when he came to the office, he thought of him. It looked like a Senator Cartoon. Was Prince Albert's. He wore gloves, a kind of hand covering things. Gloves. There are different kinds of the gloves. There are cricket batsmen wore some different kinds of the gloves. Doctors also wearing gloves. Some people who are going to serve the food also wearing their gloves. So different kinds of the gloves are there. But this person also wearing gloves. They were old and torn. Though he wearing gloves, they were old. Their gloves also old and torn. Torn is they are cut into pieces. And his fingertips showed through them. His fingertips showed through the gloves. Why? Because they were old and torn. So as his gloves were old and torn, so his fingertips shone through them. You can see the fingertips through the gloves. And he carried a cane. A kind of a stick to help the old man to walk. You might have seen, old people are holding some kind of a stick for their support. The same way, what he is doing, he is also having a cane. So, but it was old, the skeleton of the worn out umbrella. So this is a stick or it's an old umbrella that is already torn. What will remain will be the not present button umbrella. There was once upon a time in the previous years there was an old umbrella, a big umbrella, which is having a stick, long iron stick. He is that his cane was nothing but skeleton of the worn out umbrella. Torn out umbrella. If the umbrella has got into pieces, torn into pieces, only the skeleton stick will be remaining. He who has come with that stick. Behind him, one of his innumerable kin. As an innumerable kin means it's a grandchildren. In this village, innumerable kids are there for the gentleman. One of them, a dark young man with eyes like a gazelle. Gazelle means a type of small deer which has big, large, beautiful eyes. So it's just like a large, beautiful deer's eyes. His eyes looks like a deer eyes. He was followed by that person. The old man bowed to all of us in the board means bowing his head to do namaskar. Bowing his head. So for to wish, we will say good morning, good evening, good afternoon, like that. But on those days, the people used to shake hands or to bow their heads to the people who are in the upper position. So the old man also bowed his head to all of us, all the people who are seated in the office with John A. Sedgwick. He bowed to them. He bowed to them. Then he removed his hat and gloves. Then he removed his hat and gloves. He removed them. How did he remove them? Slowly and carefully. How did he remove his gloves and hat? He removed his hat and gloves slowly and carefully. Why? Because he was an old man, so he was slow and carefully. Why he removed carefully? Because they were old and torn. That's why he removed them very carefully. Chaplin once did in a picture. Here once again he made a comparison. How did he remove his hats and caps, hats and gloves? Just like a Chaplin. You might have heard the name of the Chaplin. Chaplin is a famous film actor, a comedian, Charlie Chaplin. So just like a Chaplin once did in a picture. In a bank, he was the janitor. When he was the janitor in a bank, he used to remove his hat and gloves the same, like slowly and carefully, the same way as like the Charlie Chaplin, he also removed his hat and the gloves. Then he handed these things. After removing this, he handed over. He given those things to the boy. Who was the boy? Who stood obediently behind the old man's chair. Obediently behind the old man's chair. That person was followed by the old gentleman. There was one of the innumerable kin. A dark young man came for him. He handed over his things to keep. Okay. So I understood this portion. So now we have completed 3 paragraphs. The first paragraph we learned that the person means the old man was no hurry for negotiation. It took months of time. Then his land was very beautiful. It was having a fruit-bearing trees in which there was a small river was flowing. There was a small house is there, old and beautiful house is there. So the day of the sale, he went to the office. So wearing a coat, which was very faded, he looked like a central cartoon. He also wearing a gloves. The gloves also wearing very old and torn and removed carefully. And also he was holding a cane. It was nothing but a skeleton of an old not umbrella. And he was followed by one of his innumerable kin with a dark man with a gazelle eye. So as soon as he entered into the office, he bowed all of them, and removed his hat and gloves slowly and carefully, as like a Chaplin, just like a Chaplin when he did in the cinema. Then he handed his things to the boy who stood behind him obediently. I think you have understood this. So let's ask some question. Let me ask one question. The old man was a dash, ununderstanding, quick, unhurried, witty. Yes, he was very unhurried. Do you think the ancestor of the old man lived in Medio and Medio? Yes. How do you say? In the lesson, there are some lines. He lived in the same place where his people lived. He tilled the same land they had. These lines shows that he lived in the same place where his ancestors lived. So how do you say the old man was a farmer? How do you say the old man was a farmer? Yes, he tilled the same land his ancestors tilled. This line shows that he was a farmer. He was a farmer. Shall we move to the next paragraph? Okay. There was a great deal of conversation about Ryan and his family. He was very proud of his large family. Finally, we got down to the business. Yes, we would sell as he had agreed for $1,200 in cash. We would buy and the money was ready. Don and Servo, I said to him in Spanish, we have made a discovery. Do you remember that we sent that surveyor, that engineer, up there to survey your land so as to make the deed? Well, he finds that you own more than 8 acres. He tells us what that your land extends across the river, that you own almost twice as much as thought. He did not know that. And now, Don Anselmo, he added, these Americans are benevolent. They are good people and they are willing to pay you the additional land as well at the same rate per acre. So instead of $1,200, you will get almost twice as much, and the money is here for you. As in the previous paragraphs, learned that how he entered, so his style, his way of removing the hats and the gloves, everything learned. So now come to the point. Why did he go to the office? He went to the office of the author to make a negotiation to sell his land. There was a great deal of conversation. So before we come to the particular conversation, so everybody want talk some about the other things to make comfort, to speak about the main thing. So what was their main thing of conversation? Their main thing of conversation was to sell the land. But before that, they made a conversation about the Rhine and the family. How was the Rhine in your village? How is your family? How they are healthy? What's your family? What they are doing? Like this, they want to settle down to make comfort themselves for the main conversation. They made some other conversation like about the Rhine and the family, as we also know. He was very proud of his large family. So he had a large family. He was very proud about this. I'm having a very big family. Hundreds of grandchildren are there with me. So he is very proud about that. Finally, we got down to the business. At last week, they come to their intention was to do the business. What was the business? Sell the land and buy the land. Yes, he would sell as he had agreed. The author said yes. He would sell as he had agreed. As he already agreed. So what was the agreement? For $1,200 in cash. So what was the agreement? He has to sell the land for $1,200 in cash. $1,200 in cash. So they already made little bit agreement. What was the agreement? He has to sell the land for $1,200. The author said, in cash, we would buy and the money is ready. So we definitely would buy your land and the money is ready for you. But Don Anselmo, who is Don Anselmo? Yes. The old man's name is Don Anselmo. Who was Don Anselmo? Don Anselmo is the old man of the story. Says, he said, Don Anselmo, I said to him in Spanish, he spoke to him Spanish language. We have made a survey. Survey means they take a measurement of the land, how long it has extends, where exactly the land, that particular land. That's the we can survey. Even village also we are making a survey with the surveyor. The same way, the author said in Spanish to the Don Anselmo, we have made a survey. You remember that he sent that surveyor, that engineer. Do you remember? We had sent that surveyor and that engineer up there to survey, up there in your village to survey your land. He has to make the deed well. He has to make the deed. What do you mean by deed? Deed means agreement. Deed means agreement. Before making agreement, you should make a sale deed. Sale deed. For that, before making the sale deed, they sent the surveyor and the engineer to see whether the land is there. If there is a land, what is the measurement of the land? So to make a survey of that, they sent the surveyor and the engineer. They made a survey. Well, he finds that you own more than 8 acres. So after the survey, they come to know that you own more than 8 acres. He tells us that your land extends across the river. They told, after the survey, they told, your land is not only here, your land is extends even across the river. What you think is your land is only for the up to the river? No, it extends even after the river. So he wants more acres of land. He tells us that your extends across the river, that you own almost twice as much as you thought. How much land do you have? So what you thought is wrong. Actually, after survey, your survey number comes to know that you own almost double the land as you thought. It means the old man Don Anselmo thought his land was only about 4 acres. After the survey, they came to that no, it was not 4 acres, it was about 8 acres. So they come to know. They are told the reality. They did not hide it. He did not know that. He did not know. The old man did not know that his land was double. And now Don Anselmo, he added. Then he continues to speak. Don Anselmo, these Americans are Benegente. What do you mean by Benegente? Benegenta means good people. In Spanish language, Benegenta. These Americans are good people. These Americans are good people. And they are good people, and they are willing to pay you the additional land as well at the same rate per acre. Though your land is double, the rate to pay the same rate as you have made an agreement before the sale. For the same rate, they are going to give the additional amount also for your land. It means if the land is double, what will be the price? They are also going to give the double price for your land, the same rate per acre. So that instead of $1,200, so what is your agreement? You are ready to sell the land for $1,200. Instead of $400, you will get almost twice as much. So you are going to get twice. Twice means double. Means $2,400 in cash. You will get almost twice as much, and the money is here for you. The money is ready for you. So they said, money is ready. Just take the money. So we'll say, what was the reply of the Don Anselmo? This is the next class. Thank you. Thank you very much.